What is going on, everyone? Pack a plug back with another video, and today we're going to be recapping the Packers at the Carolina Panthers. Going into this game, if you're a Packer fan, you're thinking this is a game we're winning. This is a no doubt game, a game we can easily take against a Carolina team that's 2-12. They came off a game where they won to the Falcons, but it's one win. Having before that only had one other win. Now they only have 2 wins. Going into this game, you thought, Packers defense isn't playing well. They gave up a lot of yards to Baker Mayfield and that Tampa Bay offense, and they struggled in that game and they lost that game. But going into this one, you have a surefire win. You still have a path to the playoffs. They have to win this game. Jordan Love's going to light it up, and that's exactly what he did. Jordan Love played really well. Jordan Love threw for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 sack. He played great. Aaron Jones came back and ran for 127 yards, 21 carries. The offense played well. Romeo Doubs had a touchdown. Wicks had a touchdown. It was a good game, and offensively. But the problem you had coming to this game was, is Joe Barry's defense going to hold up? Or is it going to be another week where it's a team we should beat and we end up losing because that defense can't do their part? I don't want to make this 100% clear. I do not think it's on the players. I think it's 100% on the coaches, on the defensive coordinator. This was a good game by this Packers offense that was ahead through the first half and somehow allowed a Carolina Panthers team to rally back in the second half and make it a competitive game that it came down to 33-30 by a field goal. A field goal. That is unacceptable against a 2-13 team, against a team that you should easily win against. A team that Bryce Young, you gave him his best game. He threw for 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 2 sacks. Their running game wasn't as effective, but they were tearing us up through the air. And it's unacceptable, especially when you have a coach in Matt LaFleur that's kind of defending Joe Barry and saying in his presser after the game, he said, well, we should have gave the defense more breathers. No, the defense should play their part regardless of the situations that they're in. The defense should hold up on their end, playing their positions, playing their defense. And it has nothing to do with the players, in my opinion. It has everything to do with the defensive coordinator and his scheme in Joe Barry. When you have outside linebackers lining up with inside slot receivers and mismatches and playing 15 yards off the ball and not playing in press and playing these coverages, these soft coverages, it is 100% the defensive coordinator. There was also a report this week that Jair Alexander will be suspended for the Minnesota Vikings game. And it sucks. And I will say this, because the Packers fan base is divided. There's a group that's saying this penalty is harsh, that we shouldn't sit him out of game, we should be trying to win, we should keep him in it. And there's a group that's saying you got to hold people accountable. And you're 100% right. You should hold people accountable. What Jair did was wrong. However, if you're an organization that wants to hold people accountable, you cannot have hypocrisy in your leaders and your coaches and your coordinators, okay? Everyone needs to be held to that standard then. You're going to hold Jair to this standard and cost the team by suspending him a game because you want to send a message and hold him accountable. Everybody from the leadership down, coaches, coordinators, also should be held accountable. And for Matt LaFleur to sit in a press conference and defend Joe Barry's defense and say, well, it was on the offense for not getting them off the field more, not giving them a breather. That's not taking accountability. You're not having Joe Barry take accountability. You're putting this more on the players, and I think this opportunity with Jair was a moment for them to put the foot down and be like, the players. And if you're a player, you're probably upset because it's probably feeling like, whoa, these coaches and these coordinators are more so blaming everything on us. But the accountability should also be on them. If you're going to hold us to a higher accountability standard, which they should, this suspension for Jair was warranted, 100%. But if you're going to hold him to that accountability, you have to hold the coaches, the coordinators, the team leaders to that same accountability, especially with Joe Barry, especially with this defense. Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst have allowed Joe Barry for the last 2 seasons to have terrible defensive seasons, to not have the output that you should have as a defensive coordinator to keep your job for 2 years. He should have been gone last season, but he's not. He's still here. He came back this season, and it's been the same result. a horrible defense with horrible output, and his firing is more than warranted. More than warranted. Nonetheless, the Packers got this win in Carolina, and now they're still in the playoff picture. They have 2 games left, one against the Minnesota Vikings and one against the Chicago Bears. You win these 2 games and you're in. You just need to win both these games. The Rams lose one, the Seahawks lose one. There's a possibility of the Falcons being tied, so you hope they don't do well. Rams lose one, Seahawks lose one, Packers win out, go to Minnesota, get a win against a backup quarterback, go to Detroit, a team that the Green Bay Packers beat earlier in the year, the very first game of the season, and you're in. And I think the offense is fully capable of going down to both of these teams and beating them. It's just a question of if this defense is going to be held up. And there's this feeling in the Packers community that these coaches don't care as much this season. They don't have this feeling of they want to win this season because it's the first season with Jordan Love. This is a season that we can do things like trade away Russell Douglas, suspend Jair in a very important game instead of taking some other type of disciplinary actions, one that's not as detrimental to the team, It's funny that you're suspending him for detrimental actions to the team, but you're doing something that's detrimental to the team by suspending him as well, because it not only affects him, it affects the whole team. And I get it. Organization that you want to hold to a higher standard and make a statement, Jair and the rest of this team. But I think the team, especially with players having tweets, especially with players having things to say, the team probably feels like the leadership is in question simply because the hypocrisy of the whole thing. So we'll see what happens. I fully believe in this Green Bay Packers team. I think you can win out these 2 games. I think you can have the Rams lose and the Seahawks lose, and you can easily make the playoffs. However, if the Packers don't, if the Packers offense plays well in both of these games, and the defense is the one to lose it, and we miss out on the playoffs, leadership may be thinking this is a throwaway year, but Joe Barry has got to go, because last year was not a throwaway year, okay? And this year should not be a throwaway year. If Joe Barry is the reason the Green Bay Packers missed the playoffs, Joe Barry needs to go. He needs to go. It's time. It's time the Green Bay Packers take a different step in a different direction with their defense. Hopefully the Packers get these 2 wins. Hopefully we make the playoffs. That's all I have for y'all today. Is Pack a Plug. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, everything. And as always, go Pack, go.